Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from beautiful Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. Welcome to Tales with TR. I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr. Things are going all right here. The set of Shoresy, really chaotic. We had to change some things around because of the weather, but so it hasn't been the easiest on the brain at times. Well, I shouldn't say that. Just unexpected challenges, weather, whatever it might be, but things are going awesome. The group's back, a good group. I know you guys are asking me all the time. I got a bunch of questions. Hey, TR, who's in season 5? And, because it tends to change here and there. I'm not going to tell you, but I'll tell you that a lot of the band is back, and a lot of the guys and girls, that there's a big family here that I love to see and hang out with. We're having a great time. It's just I had to change some things around, so I couldn't be with you guys. Last Thursday, the Jason Greger show crowd that spill over on the Tales with TR. Yes. Now you guys got some questions. Couldn't be there last Thursday. Sorry about that. I'm going to be on the Greger show tonight, but by the time you hear this, that will be in the past, so it's irrelevant. But I'm looking forward to get back on there. And I did an interview today with Andrew Peters. He asked me to go on his pod. He has one with Craig Rivet called After the Whistle. It's a great podcast. I mean, I'm not overusing the word great. I think anybody who played the game and like Riv and Andrew Peters, Petey, for so long, and learned from the best in the business and have stories to tell. I really I haven't found one that's not at least somewhat enjoyable to listen to. Some people articulate their thoughts better than others, but when it's people that played the game, I like to hear what they have to say. What I mean there, because sometimes players, you might listen and you might say, "Oh man, that guy can't put a sentence together," or, um, I don't agree with him just because he played. Look, that's the thing. We all played, but I hate when I get into a debate with somebody that might be a sports writer or something, and then someone from the crowd says, "Well, Terry's right because he played." That's not the case. If you take any dressing room, we're all going to disagree on certain things, right? We all might, for the generally, agree to still have some level of fighting, for example, right? A lot of the public doesn't want that now. But if you ask most players, I think most would say, we need some level of it. To what level, who knows? That's a whole podcast on its own, maybe a whole volume, a series. But, we would probably all agree on that for the most part because we know what it's like to go through and have to have your team sacrifice for you. We know what it's like to get run through the boards and have someone jump in. We know what it's like to have someone on your team, a great scorer or a penalty killer or a player that you need, get taken advantage of by a bigger bully, so to speak, right? I mean, that's it. And I'm not complaining. That's the way it is. Most sports, you can't fight in all of them, but come on, basketball under that rim, elbow in the face, football, hit the quarterback late, take the penalty, but rattle him a bit. I mean, this is it. You try to get an advantage. I'm not complaining. I'm saying we all agree on different levels of that. But if you were to talk about which breakout to do or which power play, we don't all agree. I could tell you I'm going to go on Gregor's show tonight and talk with Dave McCarthy, who's a sports writer, Jason Strudwick, who's an ex-opponent of mine and a good friend. I won't agree with everything Struddy has to say. So obviously, if I'm on there, Dave McCarthy is a smart guy. I don't know if he ever skated in his life. A great journalist, follows the game. I don't know if you'd call him an insider, but yeah, maybe. He's on the outskirts of being an insider. But, he just has a lot of opinions. He watches a lot of games. You don't have to be in a dressing room to have a respected opinion, right? Now, you'd have to watch it a lot and dissect it a lot. And things like I'll always stick to my guns on the captain and assistants and having all these public, people ask me, who should be the captain of the Leafs? Well, that's for the Leafs and nobody else. In retrospect, just hypothetical, like, any team, those things, the things that happen in a dressing room. Glad I got to see it. I still can't comment on everybody's dressing room, but in other words, there are certain things that maybe a player would have the inside track on, right? And that one of those things would be injuries, who should get captain. Usually not everybody would agree on that in a room, but it's no surprise. It's not always the best player, people that lead. Like I've often said, when I played in Montreal, two of my favorite leaders in the room, Stefan Quintal, Scotty Thornton, right? Scotty I still talk to all the time, and they weren't really considered to be captains or assistants. I don't think even Shane Corson had one. I mean, what a leader he was, at least for me. You know, the public all would have been, I didn't watch back then every, Sportsnet or TSN or ESPN clip or whatever it was. I didn't read every paper, although there was just less on the go, especially when it came to the videos and social media. But I know that most of the public wouldn't have picked, Stefan Quintal or Scotty Thornton to be captains of ours. They would have based it on goals, assists, and what they see in interviews and what they think is leadership. Sometimes is, but there's a whole lot more that goes to that. I remember Q, as soon as he got traded, I think he got traded. I think it was my second, or maybe I just gotten there. Whatever it was, we didn't know each other. Then he came in the room and gave me a couple passes to this party. It was on, if you're from Montreal, it was called 360. It was right up on the top of the building, right down across from Chateau Champlain downtown. Something like that. And it was a light that, I think it still goes on, but it's called something else. But there was a light that kind of continually spun when it was open. So we went up there, had a great time. He took me out and bought me a meal. It's just things like that, right? And I know that you might say, oh, well, lots of players do that. Yeah, some do. Some seem more genuine than others, right? Some are doing it because maybe they were told to, really, or they're trying to be somewhat of a father figure and be, or a big brother figure, for a minute. Some are as genuine as you're going to be and are still friends to this day. It's all generally comes from a good place. But, certain people are probably more inclined to be leaders and they command respect more than others. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not. For me, when I walked into a room, I felt the leaders were the people I felt comfortable talking to. Sometimes superstars weren't the easiest to kind of relate with, but sometimes they were great. A guy like I've often said, Vincent Damphus, who was our captain, he just, I don't think he was like trying to be captain or, trying to be a hero at any point, but little things like, going around getting deals. I remember I had a Camaro, the first car I bought, and I had it there in the winter. I didn't expect to make the team when I was 19. And Tri-Cities, you get away with driving a sports car all year. Not much snow at all. And anyway, I didn't think it out, of course, like a lot of things. But, I remember as soon as I pulled in and they told me I made the team, I brought my Camaro, lived with Darcy Tucker, and Vinny would come in with things like, if he went to Canadian Tire and they recognized him, he'd say, if you're going to give me this, can I have a bunch for the team? Or like free suit. There was a guy downtown, Raffy. He said, hey, you go to Raffy, give him some choice tickets. Raffy will give you a suit or two. Things like that, things that you might not just assume every day. But, there's a whole lot. Practice happens and then, you might work out for a little bit, but then the whole day's there, especially when you're single. And for me, in a place like Montreal, like there was just all kinds of options. And but a lot of those guys, even if they were married, they hung out. We always went for a bite after practice, always, and that really, really made me feel at home. And eventually, to be honest with you, it didn't fucking matter who the captain was. It just didn't, because everybody took on a little bit of leadership. And I'm serious. You might look at the stats and not think it, but I took that with me to the minors, and I played another few years in the minors, and that very year, the next year, I went down, and I often talk about the stats, but to have good stats, you don't have to, but you have good line mates, you got to have a decent team, you got to have a coach that puts you out there. As much as I fucking hated Tyrion at the time, he did reward me with hard. Like I worked hard, he put me out on the ice. I wouldn't be able to get those stats. I had 21 goals, 34 fights, 256 minutes in my first year in the American League. And honestly, a lot of that was learning from those leaders. Now, I'll tell you something, little things, and a lot of it was on ice. So those guys, I remember Shane Corson saying to me, like, if you're going to go into practice, be the first in the drill. Always be vocal, communicate. Every time you do a drill, even if you know what's happening, yell out, yell for the pass. Go ask the coach a question. Even if you fucking know, I remember him saying, even if you fucking know what the answer is, if you know the breakout off by heart, go over and ask him. Say, you know what? I just want to go through this one more time. You know what I mean? Like, so in other words, be seen, be heard. Have people understand that you're interested. And don't ever be off the ice anything earlier than last. Make sure that everybody sees you in the gym working out. And it wasn't all just to be seen, because he worked hard. He's just like, do it and make sure you do it and people see you and you communicate. And because those things go into being a leader. And I remember feeling it, because when I went back down, I was up and down almost my whole time in Montreal. Again, outside of the games played, you'll notice even my second year, in Fredericton. I think I played 50 odd games. The rest of it, I was in Montreal. I didn't play a lot. I don't know how many that year, maybe 4, but I was there a lot, and you're absorbing that stuff. And when I went down in Fredericton, it definitely helped me be a better teammate, better leader. Team Canada ball hockey after that, even senior hockey. You might laugh, but you need leaders in a room, and I always embrace that. It spills over into a workplace or whatever it is, man. You could be in a choir, fucking piano club. I don't know. And if you make people feel comfortable around you, yeah, maybe that's a good definition of leadership, at least from my point of view. So anyway, those kind of things were really important to me, and I know they still come into play. You might laugh, but that was a long time ago. But part of my personality was shaped by those gents, and I was very impressionable. 18, 19, 20 years old, first round pick, and playing on a crazy team, one of the biggest sports teams on the planet, one of the coolest sports in an unreal city in our wicked country. By that I mean fabulous. So, getting a chance to travel all around North America for free and get paid to do it. All those things can go. You can lose your humility quick, and you can also overstep your boundaries. You could deal with depression and anxiety. I just had great people around me, so I didn't get too up and I didn't get too down. I just tried to remain comfortable and be a leader, and most of that are those guys that I just mentioned. Really, they were impressionable. Of course, along with my father, people I knew growing up. Not that you asked, but I seriously think that when you have good people around you, you probably, or whatever it is, energy, karma, whatever, you probably stand a chance to be more successful, whatever you're doing. Let's just say life. Now, doing the Gregor Show soon. A lot of you asked me about Evan Bouchard, man. You're flipping out. I think Josh Norris beat him to a puck yesterday and led to the winning goal. Buffalo Sabres, the lowly Sabres, last place in the Eastern Conference. Beat the Oilers. Listen, I'll say before what I'll say it again. Bouchard had a great playoff last year, right? I mean, I know he wasn't always 10 out of 10 defensively, but a lot better than he's been this year in the regular season. But if you remember a year ago in the regular season, he was very similar. He gave it away a lot. His mistakes were glaring. It's surprising if you go and look at the turnovers. He's like not as bad as you think. And they're not as bad as you think. So there are two things. I mean, the mistakes he makes are probably more noticeable because of how much he has the puck. But I'm not giving him a free pass. I do agree. Some of these mistakes are lazy. They're irresponsible and worthy of a benching. Many of them. But, listen, I have confidence in him. And you know why I do? Because I think Bouchard, like when push comes to shove, if it was the playoffs, I think he would have given a better effort on that goal. And that's not a great thing to see. It's not great as a fan or a coach or anybody to go, you know what, you should have given it more. And I know you could have. But we know him. We know he's always going to be on the kind of the positive side of the line, right? Yeah, he's going to give it away, but he's going to get more lead. He's going to make more passes that lead to scoring chances. Yes, he's going to get beaten coming back sometimes. But what happened right before that happened, guys? He hammered home a goal. He's got a shot that's almost 100 miles an hour. He takes it a lot. So I'm just saying the good outweighs the bad. Is it anxiety-inducing to watch? 100%. Do I love the way he plays all the time? No. But I've seen him when push comes to shove, and when he has to, he plays well. And I got to say, in today's day and age of sports and people taking time, he plays most of the games unless he's hurt, but he plays all the games, man. So, those things are really annoying, but I don't know. If I'm looking at the Oilers going into the playoffs, I'm almost excited about, not excited, but I'm not worried because I think he's going to step it up. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And him finding a new gear will just do nothing but help the Oilers. So, yeah, it sucks against Buffalo in March, but I think he'll be great against LA in April. You know what I mean? So take from that what you will. It's extremely frustrating to watch. I think he's a good defenseman, bordering on great at times. That is irresponsible and at times overwhelmingly irresponsible. But go back and watch the playoffs from last year. For the most part, he's an 8 out of 10 at least on all those games. So I have confidence. Anyway, I got to go now as we speak. I got to go do the Gregor Show. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, I had Andrew Peters. I talked to Andrew Peters today on his podcast, After the Whistle. And I think what we're going to do, I'm going to try to rebroadcast that as my own because, yes, he asked me questions. I asked him some. And I think I might do that little bit more as time goes on, because I've done some cool interviews with chicklets, things like that, when we've been live, and I've never put it up myself, but it's only cross promotion, I guess. So stay tuned. And regardless, we'll have a great guest tomorrow. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, please check out George Street. If you're going to go there, check out Trinity Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, TJ's, Green Sleeves, and of course the Bull and Barrel. If you're going to go out for a bite to eat, check out the Loose Tie, Blue on Water, Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering. If you're going to go work out and you want to have a positive mindset, strength and balance for the body and mind, go no further than Power Conditioning on Rope Walk Lane. You want to go to Mr. Lube? There's 2 locations in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Camount Road, one's on Torbay Road. Live, laugh, lube. Pippo Paint Relief. Paint sticks just don't quit. Go to pippopaintrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. True Hockey, take what's yours. And of course, if you're in Newfoundland and you're in St. John's, you want to check out Crown Cabinets, by all means. Jordan Escott, Crown Cabinets. Folks, I'll be back in just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you guys on that.